we give this one around, then we'll make no big. So, shall I just take this one? Yes. So I'm very happy that still a few of you are here, and not everybody has left. A lot of them are here. That's very nice. So to be or not to be online, how much internet do we need as minimum will be the topic of this panel discussion. And I hope for an answer from my guests, who I would like to introduce to you. At my right is Peter Carrera. He's working in Luxembourg as a psychologist and has a big experience in therapy of addiction of several types. He's focused on pathological gaming and gambling. Then over there we have Boris Lombardi as well from Luxembourg, and he's a game operations specialist and knows how to optimize online games in order to keep the user on the game. Then we have Bruno Jakic, is that right, from the Netherlands. You know him already, I don't have to introduce him, but he's a very enthusiastic coder, as we could notice yesterday, and an entrepreneur, and as we heard, with a keen interest in the future of technology and their impact on the society. Then we have Christian Lund from Denmark. Hi. He's working for the Center for Digital Youth Care and has a big experience with youngsters who are facing huge problems because of being online, and I guess you find it as interesting as what he said this morning, and it will be very helpful for this discussion. Here we have Sergei Kreshenkov from Russia, and he's a PR coordinator for the EU-Russia Civil Society Forum. So, I would like to know now, immediately, the answer to the question to be online or not, and how much internet do we need as minimum. And I would start to my friend here, Peter Carver. So what is the answer to that?
Psychologists never give clear answers, but I have one. We need 1.5 kilo internet per day. So that is the only answer I can give, because the other answers are very, very large. Nobody needs internet. Mankind has survived 100,000 years without. But we have to look for what do we need, what do I need, and I think the question behind is, what do I want, what do I need, and can I deliver that, and who tells me? And I think this is the thing we have to discuss when asking this question.
So give it just further to Christian.
Well, philosophers are supposed to ask more questions, but
Wonderful.
no, I'd focus more on the kind of internet, and say again that no, we don't have a specific need for such and such amounts of megabytes uploaded, downloaded each day, of course, but we do need a certain quality, both of the internet itself, and I'm not talking about robustness, although that's a good idea that it works, but more that it works and does what I say it should, and that my communication is private, and that I can control my devices and my apps and the flow of information. I think that's hugely important. So I'd say that that's what we need in the internet right now.
I wonder what Boris will answer.
Well, I have a more clear answer to that. It's definitely going to be enough when your internet provider tells you that you're over your data limit.
Sergei?
Yeah, actually it depends on who we are. So if we are adults and youth workers, so just I would say that we need internet for our work. We need half an hour a day for social networks, once a day to check emails or something like that. So just of course we need internet. So just but we have to set certain limits for that. So because otherwise we would be absorbed by this information flow.
Yeah, I think we do need the internet. I mean, we don't need the internet in the same sense that we don't need electricity, but it's really nice to have it, you know, in the same sense that we don't need running water per se to survive. For everything else we need the internet, and how much internet is enough internet, as the speakers have mentioned yesterday, and as the table generally seems to agree, it's really an individual thing. It really depends from person to person, and it's about the quality of the experience, you know, what you do with it. not so much how much you use it.
So the maximum of one might be the minimum for the other one.
Absolutely.
So it's very personal. Boris, you are working in the gaming industry, and you need the internet, otherwise you have no job. So let me ask you, is the gaming industry interested in addicted people? I mean, the more people are addicted in gaming, the more money you earn.
Well, actually, that differs a lot from gaming platform or types of games, if people need to be addicted or not. The whole point is that the industry itself is, of course, not targeting addicted people up front, but the industry might create them. So it's also, in some occasions, really counterproductive if a player plays far too much of your game, because he puts you as a company in a position that you need to react faster, developing new content, giving more events, expanding your game universe, so that we are more and more in the position where the industry has struggled to keep up with the high pace the players play. They often progress far faster than we can produce new stuff for them to progress in. And that's a problem we face at the moment, that we need to change our pace in order to keep our players happy. Because otherwise they just turn to other games and other companies. So individual, as a company, you try to keep your players playing your game as long as you can. And of course, have them spend money in your game. That's the whole point. It's an industry like any other industry.
But addicted people are best clients of your company?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Personally, now I work in the free-to-play business, where it's in most situations the other way around. You play those games and you need a certain time to reach a certain point. But if you don't have that time, you can buy with money an advantage to follow up the other users, to gain a higher level or be stronger, because you don't have the time. So the more people play our game, actually the less money they spend on the games. The shorter they play the games, and the more frequent they play them, the more money they spend. For example, if both of us start playing a game, I have 8 hours a day to play, you only have 1. So I'll be level 10, you will be level 2. But you want to play together with me and try to catch up. So you're going to spend money to get an experience boost, to boost your level virtually without playing, to be able to play with me for the hour you have. So it's actually the players who don't play that much who spend the most money on the games.
But so it's your company, shall we say in brackets, it's a good company in that way. That's not for all. Just say it like that. Is your company aware of the problem, or do they do that specially to avoid addiction?
Well, I worked for Apple before, so I never worked for any good company in this world. No, I mean, from a company point of view, there are, in this business, so many different departments. And to be honest, those calling the shots are the financial department. So being aware or not being aware, of course we know that there are people, or our game masters know that there are people who might play too much because we can see that data. The thing is, except doing, let's say taking the same steps as the cigarette industry, if you play one of our games and you play for 1 hour, the game tells you that playing too long might be bad for your health, so you need to stop a break, you need to take a break. But if people decide to go on playing, it's their own responsibility. Just like it is mine to buy my cigarettes, even though I know that it's bad for my health.
I guess Christian, he has a comment on that. Since you are working with people as well, young people, or perhaps Peter, I don't know if you have I mean, for the gaming industry, making people addicted or not?
I think addiction is where you're...
So is it the industry, the gaming industry, who is responsible for addiction, or is it something else?
Oh, I think this is a very hard question because we always have a large ideological gap in this discussion. In my opinion, not the industry is responsible for addiction. I think more or less 1 or 2% of people who are gaming become addicted. And so 98% don't have any problem with that. And so these are the people the games are made for. And if you want to create a good game, which is funny, which is interesting, you have to put the things in which the addicted people stay with. I think the other way around is the right objective, to prevent those people who have problems, to become addicted to the things the world shows us. I don't think that alcohol is a devil, I don't think that heroin is a devil, and I don't think gaming industry is a devil, but I think some people in every population are vulnerable to this, and all people who have these problems will look for the thing that makes my inattention down.
So, but we are not talking only about the gaming addiction, we are talking about how much internet do we need as minimum, and when you do not know how much the minimum is, I mean, you can come to the maximum. And yesterday, Bruno, he said, or he talked about education. We had a discussion about education. Do you think the earlier kids use IT, learn to use IT, the less problem they get?
Well, I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not sure that I'm exactly qualified to answer that question professionally, but my intuition is that this is the case. I'll give you an example maybe half an hour ago about this kid who is 15, who is developing websites, who has written a book about developing websites and sold 80,000 examples of it. And I asked him, so what do you want to do when you finish high school? You know, do you want to study or what? And he said, I want to set up my own company because if I continue doing what I'm doing now, which is building websites, the kids these days, they're starting at 6 and they already know everything about it, they know ins and outs. And by the time I'm 19, there's going to be somebody who's 13 who's better than me. And then I want to have these people working for me. This to me already shows a great insight into what these technologies do and everything that they bring with them. This kid picked it up by himself, and by the way also because he was stimulated by his parents to do so. So, education, both formal and informal, is I think very important, and the earlier it starts, I would expect the better results it would give.
It has to be education. But I think it has to be education. Children have to learn how to use this medium, and they have to learn about themselves, and they have to learn media competence and social competence, and then we can and we must begin early to teach them how to use new media. Because when they start late, they are in the back.
Just shining in with the choir here. That's our what we experience too. We have a lot of school visits, 2 every week or something for the last couple of years, and we've been doing it for 10 years. And while we don't have the money to do longitudinal studies on how that affects kids, then we do see that the younger they are, the more susceptible they are to understanding these things, and the more they will want to listen to us or their parents or their teachers. So absolutely, the earlier, the better. And I know it's the gaming industry over here, but if we had social media industry here, we should be asking them once again, can we please have a children's profile? Or we'll have to build it ourselves.
But don't we need to educate parents before educating the children? The parents have to, as well teachers have to be educated as well to educate the children.
Actually, I also wanted to tell something about that because you know, sometimes we hear that if your students, your children play, for example, Angry Birds, then you have to know how to deal with that, and you have to use that in the teaching process as well. So just I think that it's good to go online for the adults as well, and to also to make games and so on. On the other hand, so we face some problems, for example, in business now. So just I don't know how long these problems will be lasting. So, but actually, young people, young associates, they are not used to communicate offline, or communicate on the phone even. So just they try to solve some business decisions via internet as well, via social networks. And actually, from my point of view, it's a good situation for me, because I'm also acting as a freelance trainer on communication. So, and then I can earn money with that, just to let people learn this offline communication. On the other hand, I understand that maybe sometime everything will be solved on the net, and so maybe this interpersonal communication will be not so vital.
Yeah, I was just wondering where this whole question is not just a generational issue. You know, as every generation has its transitional issues. This generation might be having one as well, and this might be a manifestation of it. You know, I like how Franz, who is now gone, but how he yesterday talked about imperfect solutions, which still improve the situation a little bit. And isn't it just the case that we're transitioning from one imperfect situation into another imperfect situation, generationally?
And we were talking about the business now. I mean, the IT business and the businesses on the internet. I mean, in 10 years we will have jobs that we even don't think now about it. So the creation of job in internet is as well a very important issue. And do you think that coding should be as well, how shall I call it, a topic in school, I mean a course in school, from the very early beginning? Who wants to answer that? Since you have been starting yourself at 12 programming.
Yeah, and in my time 12 was early, you know, we had kids starting at 6, so I definitely think so. I mean, Carl Sagan said something of the likes that everything in our world essentially depends on science and technology, and that almost nobody knows anything about science and technology. And that is a problematic thing. So we can mitigate that by focusing on teaching that in schools from a very early age, because the earlier you pick up things, the more natural they come to you.
We are still talking now about virtual life and real life, or cyber world and natural world. If we talk to young people, for my children, for example, they are now 17, I don't know if they make a distinction about of what is virtual and real. Will it not become one word? I mean, being offline and online will not matter anymore. It will be one word. It will become very natural to be online the whole time, to be reachable the whole time. And will we have the problem of addiction, or will we evaluate to assume this?
So I think virtual reality is a reality,
Yeah.
at least, and so we have, I think what Bruno said, it's a transformation. 500 years ago they told people not to learn reading or writing before they are 12, before it's dangerous, and so now we have to learn to use electronic media, and it's very okay, but it's not a question of addiction. We just have to learn it. It's a matter of time.
My answer almost gives itself from my lecture, but I think instead of virtual reality, we should be talking about augmented reality, as everybody else is doing. That instead of saying that there's a separate world that we enter into, and then we enter inside this 3D or 4D or 2D world or whatever, then we have some overlays on this world, and whether those overlays happen with a neural implant in my brain or in my Google glasses that I will be buying shortly when I can, or if they're on my mobile screen, doesn't really matter. And that's sort of the point of the cyborg, is that it doesn't matter where that tool is. If the tool is natural enough, then it becomes a sort of overlay. Your friends are always there. This scene lends itself perfectly to a photo. And then you click the photo and you don't think about the tool that you're doing it with. Your friends are always there, your possibility of sharing is always there. So I think we're already in an augmented reality world. We've already augmented our reality with knowing what time it is, and we've already augmented our reality with always having our friends right there. So I think that's how we should be talking about it, as an extra layer of reality.
And what we can learn is that there is a button I can press on and then it's off and I'm not reachable.
But what about private life? Will we have a private life in future?
What is the definition of private life?
Yeah, privacy for the one is not privacy for the other one. How can we challenge, or how shall we, to keep privacy or not being traceable everywhere? Who wants this?
So actually, for me, the technology is always still a demo. So just to know, that's why I'm really use every opportunity to get offline. So and actually it's not escape from me. So just but what I also was talking during my workshops. So just for example, with my wife, we decided to be offline and without mobile phone at least 1 day per week. So just to be really, so if you're always online, so for example, so for children it's a different thing. For adults, it's you're reachable for the work and so on. So just and this is 24/7 work cycle. So and that's not good for the brains. It's not good for the critical thinking, and it's not good for analytical skills. So that's why, of course, so there should be a certain escape strategy to the offline world, but of course we can't cope without the online world.
It's a matter of dealing with social pressure. That is the context of privacy that you take with, because why are people constantly reachable? Well, because other people expect them to be, and it's just learning to say no. Now it's me time.
We are talking now about young people, but they will grow up and they will be adults with decisions to take and in being active in business. And some businesses like journalism or bankers, they are expected to be reachable and online 24 hours a day, just to assume the targets or the tasks that they have to. Will it be as well a challenge for the regulators to save private life, just saying everybody has the right to be off or can take vacation, holiday by being offline? Is that?
Well, in a business that consists of 3 people who work 8 hours a day can offer 24-hour service without burdening the other 2 who can be taking the me time. So to me, that's mostly an engineering problem, if you wish. I'm sure the regulators will be able to enforce it.
Some companies, I think in Germany it's maybe it's Siemens, so I'm not sure. So they just switch off service for the weekend. So just not to let people get used to that services on the weekend, because the private life is really a merit in this world still.
Yesterday we talked as well about digital natives are multitaskers. So they have a talent of multitasking. Since now, that was always a women quality. They are multitaskers. Now, digital natives are multitaskers. Is that now an opportunity as well for the future to assume all the tasks that they have to complete at one's time? Having a Skype conference with as well on another device, making another one or whatever.
As long as they feel good doing it. It shouldn't be a matter of social pressure why they do it. I know for myself that I very much enjoy doing 4 things at the same time, because then I can finish by 6. And then I can go out and have fun with my friends, from 6 to 10, and then hopefully sleep and repeat it the next day. and I can get more done in more time and actually feel good doing it. But if it's a matter of social pressure, I sometimes have to finish projects and stuff for deadlines, then it feels terrible, and then it shouldn't be the case. Perhaps this new reality requires a new sense of time management. You know, perhaps we should forget about having weekends and work days and simply divide the time into the time when I want to be free and the time when I feel like I can do some work.
He is very engaged in his job and he is still very young. Will he get problems?
I don't think so.
So we always come to the same point, it's to find your balance. And I think he has his balance. And it's when you can assume it in that job, when you are this multitasker and you can assume all these tasks at one time, then it's okay. But the private life will become even more worse than we thought perhaps 20 or 30 years ago, because then private life was larger. So if you have any questions to our experts here or any comments to that, please feel free to do so, because we wanted you to be interactive and to participate in this discussion. Yeah.
If you speak to the microphone, please don't take it too close, because it's very excited today and it's quite loud.
Okay. Listening all the speakers also pointing the education of the youngsters and everything. I have one thought in my mind, like something like your family will eat the food that you have in the fridge. So transferring to the education to the youngsters. We are living in a time when our fridge tell us what product to buy and also sending us that mobile phones as a message or something on the way from work to home and something like that. So the technology is going so further, and we as adults also trying to fix it, to find our place with that. And we are constantly online. Our work, for example, I even listen radio to the online, watching television online, so I'm constantly. And thinking about that in the same time, our children look at that, they see what we do and how to teach them to find their balance when technology is what it is and we don't have balance as an adult. So
perhaps Peter, he could answer to that.
I think you are very right. The best we can do as adults are giving good examples. And so we have to educate ourselves, and I think it's just more than education, it has to be a cultural change. We are used to do things that are possible, but nowadays all things can be much faster than 50 years ago. And we have to stop doing things as fast as possible. We have to come back to a balanced, to a good rhythm in life, but that's much more than education. I think it's a real cultural problem. And I think, agreeing to what Christian said this morning, we have to prepare that our life is controlled by ourselves and not from the companies who are giving us one push after the other. And it's a question of emancipation. But it's a hard work.
But since people are always online, like I can't remember your name said, and the children always imitate parents, I mean, being online will be the natural way of living.
Yes, in 10 years we are all online everywhere where we are, in the taxi, in the bus, in government houses. We will be online all the time. But it's my control, it's my decision to use it or not, and in which tempo and in which rhythm I use it and what for. And this is the thing we have to learn. We as adults have to learn, and we have to show our children that it is possible to be online and not always busy.
And what about the social pressure? I mean, you always say it's your decision, but the social pressure can be very, very high, and as well the professional pressure.
I absolutely agree, but I think that what we maybe can do and should do is to help parents, teachers and educators, youth workers to train these things. There are a lot of things you can do to train, just something as simple as your ringtone. I presume most people in here have it shut off. But how many of you did that manually? Probably most of you. Why? But why is that not a thing that your phone does for you when it finds out that, hey, I'm in a room where very few people are speaking? There's a lot of stuff here that can be automated, and some of it doesn't. Some of it can be automated by the user. Maybe what I'm talking about right now is science fiction, but when my phone is at home touching my Wi-Fi and it's after 6 o'clock, it goes quiet. I can set it up to function as I want. And those are very basic functions that almost every smartphone today has that you can teach kids how to use. And I'm not saying that's the most important thing right now, that your phone doesn't ring at an inopportune time. That's not important in itself, but it's a simple thing that you can train, and you can train that your device does what you say and not what somebody else somewhere else programmed it to do because he thought that was your default, or because that was smart for his business model, or it's good for my boss that she can reach me at any time with email. She is not able to reach me anytime with email. I don't want a notification when she mails me. It's off. Of course it is. Because I want to be free when I'm free. I don't want notification buzzing in my pocket at those moments. And some kids don't know that it's possible to do these simple things with their smartphones. And I think teaching them this is just one step to teaching them to take control. And that online and offline is a continuum. It's not either or. It's a continuum where you choose, okay, at this point I want to have the opportunity to take out my phone and check my email, but I don't want my phone to start telling me anything about what I should do and shouldn't do. I want to be free to be here with you guys for now. When I'm in my bus in a few hours, I want my phone to tell me the minute there's anything interesting going on, because I'm not bored out of my skull.
So, and actually coming back to this professional social pressure, so I think, for example, so we in the civil society sector, so we are used to such long emails with many excuses and greetings and so on, highest respect and etc. And I just at some moment I quit that. So just and really, so of course I greet a person at the very beginning, so just and write maybe a longer email, but then it just without any dear Mr., dear sir or madam, no, just very essential ones, and it's of course you have the work done in a minute and not in 10 or 15 or half an hour. So just it's also about the habits and professional habits.
But that will be, I mean, I like when someone says, dear Yolande, I'm happy to write to you and so on, but it will be a very, even faster, the work will be faster than, again. It will just be focused on, just on the content, even no right sentences anymore. Is that okay?
If we get used to it, it's okay. Normal is what we are used to. And we don't have less time, we don't use it. And so we are changing in our rules how to use our time. And some will make it faster, and some will make it very essential. And I always would write you, dear Yolande, but I don't want to do some sentences after that 4 times a day. I think it's okay when I tell you, hi, I'm here and I have to say this. And greetings.
It works. So.
It works.
Actually, it works in my case. So and, people are not getting insulted. So it was also a discovery for me, actually. So but of course, some courtesy should be there. So not just write down and so on.
So next time you get an email from me, I won't say, dear Sergey, hi, it was nice to have you met, but just come to the point.
Dear Sergey.
So now he knows. And it's afterward, it's my decision if I have 2 minutes, nothing to do, because the email was shorter. If I do read another email or some other emails, or if I do the screen away and 2 minutes just for me, quality time, it's called today.
Boris, you are a young father, you have a small boy, little boy?
Yes.
Yes, at the age of 2. you are as well a gamer in your free time. How do you think that you will educate your son with the new technologies?
Well, first I have to say that also I myself grew up playing games a lot on my free time, and that my parents actually did not really stop me doing so. So even when I was younger, 12, 13 years old, I played 3 to 4 hours a day on a Nintendo. There was nothing bad because the visual images were not disturbing for young children. Nowadays we are facing another problem, that in the games the graphics get more and more violent, everything looks more and more real. When I play now at home, regardless of what I play, I really take care that my son is not in the room. If it's a car racing game or a football game, or I'm hacking away zombies' faces with a chainsaw, he doesn't have to see me play. Because he already starts mimicking everything we do. When I take out my cell phone, he takes my cell phone and he plays calling someone. So I don't want him to, if he's unattended for a few moments, to be able to turn on my Xbox One and to play away without me seeing or noticing it. But one thing is for sure, I do let him, already at the age of 2, act or reenact what I do. So for example, if I'm playing Game Boy, I still have an old Game Boy at home. I actually gave that to my son. He knows how to turn it on, he knows how to turn it off, and he knows it makes a sound when I press the A button. And there's actually a game inside. But I took care that the game has cute graphics, it's Super Mario. So there's nothing wrong with that. He's 2 years old, he takes that thing, he presses the button a few times, he doesn't know how the game works, and after 5 minutes, like all the small children, he gets bored of it, he puts it away and plays back with his truck. But in this moment, he wants to play with the Game Boy, so I let him. There's nothing bad about that.
You talked about that content, and that makes me think now of young people getting in contact with bad content like racism or violence, and as well porn at a very, very early age. Do we have to rethink about the whole education, starting earlier as well, sexual education? Because I don't think that you will avoid that young people or very young children get in contact with such contents. So rethink about education, the whole education.
Well, I think it's a large problem because children nowadays in Western Europe begin looking at internet pornography with, I think, 11 years. So many do it with 9. And I think this is a point where parents have to look for what children do on the computer. And I think most younger children are not able to get the devices. If you do a filter in it or you have safety systems, they cannot do it. With 12, 14
but
they
can change the browser.
They can change the browser maybe. But so I think we have to look what our children are doing. And that needs time. Education needs time. If I have children, I have to take my time for them. I cannot say the next 5 hours I have to work, do what you want. But I think this is not really solving the problem. The other side of that coin is young people are much more used to sexual behavior than we were, and they're doing it very easy, mostly, and they are not as shy as we were, and they sometimes with 15, 16 they just know what they want. And I think this is not always a bad development, but we have to find a balance. But I repeat it.
But do young people get addicted on online porn? Children, for example.
I think most children are not addicted to online porn because they think it's so, they don't like it, they don't like what they see, they get anxious. But I think with 10, 12, maybe the danger is higher, because then it's becoming interesting. And what we know is, the earlier you begin to do something excessive, the higher is the danger for an addiction. And so then we have to look very good.
Any question to that? Yes.
I ask myself, why are you so preoccupied of showing children, especially, life like it isn't? You are preoccupied by protecting children from everything which you consider bad, and you just show them a world which isn't real. The world is cruel and full of assholes, and you need to show the children that from a young age, so they are prepared for it. And if people continue this, there is, especially in the US, where they call them helicopter parents and trophy kids, where people do not know anything bad before they come into the real life, they will cause more problems than children who are actually confronted with such content. And I think that's the basic problem, the perversion, especially in our Western countries, is this trophy as a kid. We put our kids above all. And for me, a kid is nothing but an unfinished human. So you need to teach him things, and he needs to know what is happening in the world. If you just pretend a world which is not real, in German you say you look at it with pink glasses. And that's, I don't think that's the solution to it. And I think that's what people generally tend to do, especially parents. They try to prohibit everything which they, and that is the point, which they think is not okay. But other people might think that is okay. And why take that away from the children, the choice?
I think we have to teach children that world is not pink, but if children get used to violence, for example, the more violence they see, the more they are used to it, and it raises the opportunity to do violence.
That's not proven. Where is that proven?
I think we just prove I cannot show you. But just another point.
That's the polemic which comes always with school shootings and games, and it's not proven at all.
Okay,
so basically
then I do another point. Maybe I am naive, but my sexual life does not look like pornography.
No,
I think children do not have looked pornography to know how sexual life is.
That's not the case, but protecting them from content which exists in the real world.
You know, I think it's a matter of pacing, because what you're saying to me sounds akin like if you want to teach a baby that they could drown if they cannot swim, you should just throw it in the water because that's the world. And that is not true. I mean, you first have to explain to the kid what water is, what characteristics the water has, and perhaps then you can show them how to try to swim, and perhaps then, if they once almost drowned, they will learn this lesson. So it's a matter of pacing.
I think it isn't a matter of sexual education or whatever. So just I have a good example from my childhood, from the Soviet childhood. As you know, we didn't have sex in the Soviet Union at all. So actually. At the age of 7, I think I met a pedophile. So just he was pretending to be an artist. And he was asking me to paint something. So just and to meet him afterwards. And I came back, and I was because my drawings were very bad actually, and I was very happy that somebody really appreciated that. So but my mother wasn't panicking at all. So she just told me, okay, so paint that picture and go with your friend to that meeting. And maybe she was observing me, I don't know. So just, but she didn't say, oh no, there are bad people and so on. So just, it's about education. It's not about sexual education at school or whatever. So just,
And another question? Yes?
Isn't the internet just a simple way to sell?
Okay, not too close. Isn't the internet just a simple way
to make potential addicts become real addicts much quicker. Because internet allows the capitalist system to create new products quickly, to create new production methods, and to create new markets quickly. For instance, if you're an alcoholic 20 years ago, you'd have to go out to buy your alcohol. Now you can have it delivered. If you're a drug addict a few years ago, you'd have to go out and do a deal. Now you can actually do it over the internet if you want to do so. So isn't the internet actually providing an easier way for people to become addicted to all kinds of things?
Yes. I think the internet is making a lot of things very, very easy. Basically, anything that has to do with information has now become basically instantaneous, including sales. So yeah, of course, some bad things are going to be easier too. I think that's a given, and I think that's an okay trade-off because, for instance, helping those people could also become easier. Banner ads for, hey, have you experienced this or this bad thing? Click here, and you're on your way to an online counseling service. That's also easier. So I think it's an okay trade-off. We just have to watch for the new stuff, which might be something like pornography that kids see when they don't want to see it. So we're beyond the discussion of whether it's their choice. They see it because they search something that accidentally meant something else in some other language, and then suddenly there's a YouTube video in their face. That's a new thing. That I would be more worried about.
Just want to add something exactly to what you just said. An example, actually, one of the problems the gaming industry and the industry in general faced was the fact that there were many social interactions already on gaming consoles and platforms, but many people who used those complained that they were not even able to see each other. They were knowing each other for several years and they never saw each other. So one guy at Sony had a brilliant idea, saying, hey, if we bring out a new PlayStation, why not add the possibility to go into video chat? And everybody can join and watch. The idea itself was brilliant. I could have held my meeting over my PlayStation. I could watch somebody else play PlayStation. But the thing was out for exactly 3 hours. One guy was filming himself in front of his PlayStation, showing the whole world how he was having intercourse with his girlfriend. So the general idea was good, but what people do of it is mostly bad. But that's the people and not the idea or the program in itself.
Same thing with dynamite.
Yeah, just to top it off, I totally agree. Internet is a major enabler, and I think the distinction is, between enabling people to do things that they would do anyway, even if they're bad things, versus stimulating people to do bad things. So that's a thing that we should fight against, I think. The other thing, I don't think we can even do very much about.
Another question, perhaps the last one, second last one? No? Yeah?
Can I just, because I do agree with the rose-tinted glasses is a problem and so on, but in the end, where does this lead us? I think we need to trust the parents, basically. I'm not saying every parent is perfect or good, even, but who else? I mean, some kids are too young to take a decision for themselves, and I do not like the idea of government censorship, and certainly not at a basic pan-European level that we decide what content is good or bad and start filtering it on those counts. But I do think that we need to give parents tools so that they can let their children have basic internet access, ability to see video, ability to upload photos at the rate that they're comfortable with. And then I will afterwards go out and tell those parents that they should be doing it a lot earlier and start getting comfortable with it a lot earlier and don't stop holding their kids back. And I think both those things are actually part of what we should be doing. We should both make sure that parents have that choice and that it's not taken for them, but we should also then try to influence parents to handle that choice for their kids in a good way, so that they don't end up censoring them until they're 13 and then suddenly, hey, here you go, the entire internet's now open. Which doesn't work.
Hi, I have a it's not really a question, but it's a sort of a comment for this. Whereas I welcome this conference, and it has been a good platform for exchanging ideas and thoughts and comments and stuff like that. I always think about this being a top-down situation. We're planning stuff and we're, you know, organizing things to do for or to the kids and the youth and stuff like that. And I really want you to think about, you know, including the youth councils, including the youth itself, and you know, asking them for advice and asking them, you know, what we should focus on as well, not just deciding for ourselves based on something that we think or feel, you know, which is probably not in direct context with what their teenagers are experiencing.
Just to answer to that as well, on the Safer Internet Forum that was last year, there were really a lot of young people from all over Europe, and they really wish more privacy. And they make the choice as well of being offline, and they make the choice of the social network that they are in, and they are very conscious about what they are posting and what they are showing to other ones. So there is really a culture going on for more privacy, and I really like that young people are doing something for other young people. That's a really good point of view. So the very last question.
I think that both last comments are very important, that the young have to educate the young, because parents will simply lose track. It goes faster and faster, the technical evolution. I would say now the cut is about 25-30 to know what's going on in the tech industry, but if you're really working full-time in it, but most parents aren't, and it will go faster and faster. And to know as a parent when you are 35 or 40 what your 8-year-old, 10-year-old will do, it's not possible, because you simply have a digital gap which will be there, and for teachers it will be even be more difficult. So to rely on school and our parents to educate the young how to deal with the media will get a real problem. So the only solution is that, well, some younger people have to educate the very young, or one way or another.
It's like what Bruno said, we are always a transition generation, forever and ever.
Yeah.
So let's come to the end, and I would like to end this discussion with a Chinese saying about gaming or games. And it says, whenever you decide to play a game, you should decide or define 3 very important things before you're starting. The first, the rules. Second, your investment. And third, probably the most important, the moment when to stop. Thank you for your attention.
So thank you, Jon, and to all the panelists for, again, some very interesting exchange also with you. Now, a very practical announcement. So this is now the last official content providing in this direction, and now we're going to get more interactive. We will simply suggest a bit shorter coffee break, so that at 14:45 we will meet back here, and then we continue with the conclusions of the Erasmus Plus workshop. That's fine, I guess, for those people who prepared the workshop. They are ready anyway with what they will present.